Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
All right, welcome back, SML. The first episode of First and Goal, Madden 22. Really excited to be back. And to start it off, we've got Prime has something he wants to put out to the league. So Prime, it's all you.
Yeah, so real quick, I know there's been some hoopla and chat about it, so I just want to address it. Game scheduling moving forward is one of our evaluation scores. So moving forward, we are tracking who's the last game every time, and then we'll release it at the end of each season. Just to be clear, obviously we released a video on how to schedule your games. It's just important to us. If we just want to make sure we're doing the fundamentals right. Game scheduling is important to the SML, so let's make sure everybody's doing their part, being proactive, and not being disrespectful to your opponent by waiting to the last second to respond or to try to schedule a game.
All right, so without any further ado, let's get right into this so we don't miss any of the games coming up, especially that Dan and RD game that should be coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll jump right into it. Topic one, a lot of talk has been about the defense, and they put out a patch, and whether or not you think defense is broken or fixed or whatever, but what do you guys think about defense, and how do you think it needs to be adjusted, if it needs to be adjusted at all? Prime, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I actually kind of like defense. I think that EA is going about it the right way. Obviously, they put out a product that needed work. So instead of just reacting in such a way of going from one side to the other of the fence, which is what they've been known to do, they're taking a calculated approach. They're fixing cover 3. It sounds like they'll be doing cover 2 and cover 4 next. I like that. And when they fix cover 3, it's not like they made it clamps down defense. It's still got its flaws, which I like. If they were to tweak one thing on defense, I would like to see a little better pass rush. I think that there's times when a perfect pocket forms, and it really shouldn't be that way. I think that would really help slow down some of the escape artist quarterbacks and really help the secondary as well, as if there was a bigger push of pass rush.
Okay. DW, what do you think?
Actually, I agree a lot with what Prime said there. I've actually only played one game since the patch came out, so I didn't really notice a whole lot with cover 3 that was fixed. But I completely agree with him. I feel like the pass rush could definitely be stronger. But my major thing is I just don't like how all these really fast wide receivers are just blowing by people still, it seems, with the blue zones, I guess, still being fixed or whatever. From what the patch came out Thursday, so I still haven't noticed a huge difference with that. I'd like to see that get fixed because it just... I mean, I get it. Those guys get open in the NFL the same way that they do in Madden, just like that. But it just seems like it's just a gimme play when you need it. I'd love to see that get fixed. That's my number one thing.
Okay. QP, what do you think?
A lot like them. I agree with a lot of what Prime said as well. I think that pass rush does need a little bit of bulking, I should say, because there's a lot of times you can send 6 guys on the play and they don't. The pocket, like Prime said, the pocket is perfectly formed still, and there's no pressure. And that shouldn't be the case. It's usually not the case because a lot of guys also don't ever block their running back. They send their running back out for a route. Mm-hmm. So the extra blocker is not there, so the extra blitzer should be there a lot more than they are. And then the deep balls as well. Yeah, I think that guys are getting behind the safeties. Even if you play, like if you hit your hot routes and whatnot to play above or up over the top, they're still getting beat. But I do like a lot about how the front 7 feels. The front 7, in a way, I know it sounds contradicting to what I just said about the pass rush, but I like that the linebackers aren't meta this year. Some of the great users are having trouble right now because their linebackers can't cover, 15 yards to 15-yard sideline to sideline like they used to be able to do. So I like where it's at, but I think a few more patches or a few other little tweaks here and there should be better. I also hate one more thing. When the quarterback is rolling out, I cannot stand that the AI immediately goes and leaves his assignment and rushes to get the quarterback, because most of the time quarterbacks are not taking off unless it's a few of the guys, and that's user play who actually take off. But a majority of the time when people roll out, they're not rolling out to, get yards with the quarterback's feet. They're rolling out to try to see something happening on the sideline or on that side of the field. And the AI completely abandons his assignment and tries to get the quarterback, and 10 out of 10 times he never gets the quarterback. So I would like to see that tweaked.
All right. Fins, what do you think? You want to go ahead and agree with Prime too?
No, I'm not actually. I'm not a big fan about the way defense is right now. You and I talked about it a little bit on Battle at the Border. Shameless plug there. I'm finding that defense isn't really doing what it's meant to do. Like, a lot of zones aren't working the way they are. Like deep purples, for example. Cooper's mentioned this a couple of times, where the deep purples are kind of shading inside the hash marks and they're leaving the outside open. And that's not what they're intended to do. And I also mentioned this as well. The player reaction I find so far is terrible. Like, a lot of times defenders are just standing there and letting the ball zoom right by them. And in the NFL, that doesn't happen a lot, right? Like, they at least make an attempt. At this point, I'd be happy in my guy like jumping up and missing it completely instead of just standing there watching the ball sail over his shoulder and goes for a big completion. Like, I think I gave up one of those to you, DW, in our game where you sent a guy up the seam. I had 3 guys all around him, and everyone just watched it. Then the 2 safeties collided, and you were gone for a long touchdown. It was brutal. So I hate the way defense is right now.
Yeah, that explains why DW didn't have the same complaint. But yeah, I got to agree. The reaction, some of the zones, I almost wonder if maybe it's an awareness thing, and some good players playing better than others. I'd have to look and see who's actually blowing their assignments. But I agree with the streaks and the non-reaction from some of the defenders. But since everybody pretty much agreed with Prime, I'm going to give him 2 bonus points. All right, so second topic. Second topic. Why do you think there's so many upsets and weird results to start the cycle? I mean, we got Dan's 0-3. You've got Colt just beat Pauly with the Rams beating the Buccaneers. Just a lot of weird stuff going on. And DW, we'll start with you.
I think it's because we've all had a month off. It's a brand new game, brand new system we're playing on. I think there's a lot of things that need to be worked out still. I think a lot of things that guys were like, depending on last year to work this year, that it doesn't work that way. Like the run game, number one. I mean, the run game to me is completely different. I love the run game this year, but it's way more difficult than it was last year. But to me, I feel that that's mostly what it is. It's still guys getting a feel for the game. I think, by season 2 here, we're going to have a major turnaround. I think the good guys, I mean, not the good guys, but, the top tier guys here in this league will turn things around and they'll be back on top.
All right. QP?
I think that people are still adjusting. A lot of people probably made the same, when they made their playbooks, they probably added a lot of same stuff that they did last year already, thinking that was going to automatically work. And some things don't work anymore that maybe used to work. So I think people needing to figure out what they can do, what they do well, and what they don't do well. A lot of time, you're still seeing a lot of people finding their way. Obviously, Dan is somebody to keep talking about, like everybody in every show talks about, because he's such a passing guy. We all look at him like he's a passing guru, and then you see him out here consistently getting 150-yard games. So it looks like what he used to do is probably not working anymore, and he's figuring it out. And I think a lot of the other guys, I think that it's just matchups right now. I think the way the schedule has gone, a lot of people that were maybe run heavy are not having that same success. Like DW said, I love the running. So I think people that relied on getting 8 yards of carry every single time are kind of figuring out that now they have to figure out how to, move the chains, getting 4.5 yards of carry instead.
All right. Fins, what do you think?
Pardon me. I attribute it to 2 factors. I think the one factor is there's a lack of familiarity with your team. I don't know about you guys, but in between my games, I like to play. I go in practice mode. Last year, I would just went in and just messed around in between games. They took out the practice mode this time, so you can't really do that. So, and I pick late, so I had no idea which team I was going to get, and the way the draft fell, I didn't think I was taking the Broncos. So the fact that I ended up with them, there's a lack of familiarity with personnel on that team. And the other factor is, I think right now a lot of guys are playing lower rated guys to try to dev them up, right? Like I moved one of my best corners to get Surtain more playing time, so now he's probably going against higher rated guys, which leads to more bigger plays and everything else. So I'm guys, and I know I'm not the only one, playing guys out of position, or not out of position, but higher in the depth chart that normally wouldn't get that playing time. So that which is probably leading to worse defense.
Okay. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that obviously this topic a little slanted towards Dan. Obviously, Paulie lost, but Dan's the elephant in the room. And I was on my PlayStation this morning looking at hours, and he's at like 115 hours, which is bar none way higher than everybody else. Some guys are in the 20s, some guys are in the 50s. So at a certain point, I don't think he's adjusting to the. I mean, how much more time do you need to adjust to this game? So the way I look at it is, he's in 3 or 4 leagues right now. I think he's known to be in a lot of leagues to start and then maybe drop some off. And he recently just adjusted his own league to all Madden because defense is tough or easy, but he can't score in the SML with all pro. But so when you're in 3 or 4 different leagues with 3 or 4 different rule sets, with 3 or 4 different modes, and you got 3 or 4 different playbooks, it's going to be tough to get into a rhythm. Like how are you going to just be consistent? Like that's why I think sometimes doing all this little different things, it almost makes it more complicated. Dan will figure it out. I think Paulie just losing, a blind squirrel gets a nut once in a while. Colt 45, you're a great guy, or whoever beat Paulie, but 9 times out of 10, I think Coach Paulie's going to get the win. But yeah, I think for Dan, I think he's just might be trying to do too much with too many different leagues right now, and it's going to cost him initially.
All right. So QP brought up something. He said that, a lot of guys aren't having the same success with things that they were doing last year. And that kind of leads into our third down question. Do you think maybe it's easier for the teams that were less successful last cycle to adjust this year as opposed to somebody that maybe had a lot of success and what they were doing isn't working now? QP, we'll start with you.
I think a little bit of that, yeah. But I think the fresh start is the biggest thing to it all. I believe personally, I think that a lot of guys that didn't have success last year, they were getting beat on for literally 8 seasons, and they were just demoralized at that point. So you start fresh. It's everybody 0-0. Nobody has a Simbardi yet this cycle. Anything can happen, and you've seen it already with some of the wins that have already happened. I think the fresh start, and it's a eraser in some of these guys' mental state. So they're a lot more positive to start. They see some things that are working. Even you could take some of the moral victories and the losses that they've had. So I think, yeah, and they're just going out there, and also because they have been called, some of the bottom or the lower tier players, they've already are expected to do that. So they just go out there and don't care, win or lose. They're just going to play their game, and some of them are having success so far.
All right. Vince, what do you think?
As a lone representative on the panel of the lower teams, I'm going to say no. If you look at the standings of the teams that are doing well, are the successful teams from last, right? Like I talked about it on Battle at the Border again. QP, I said, you can win with any team. Like you've proven that you're a top tier player. You can win with any team. Prime, you took the Colts. You'd be winning. Bomber, no matter what team you are. DW, you're to me an upper middle class team. Like I think you're always in contention for the playoffs. Me, I'm not in contention for the playoffs. So and we talk about this all the time. This game is basically a copy and paste every single year, with the exception of the fancy new things that always get delayed, like the scouting. So the top tier teams don't really have to adjust to much, right? Like what works for you last year probably works for you this year, with the exception of running's a little different. But if you have a back like Chubb, who looks like power backs are going to be the meta this year, there's your favorite word, Prime.
That's actually Matt's favorite word.
I was poking fun because you always say, "What is meta?" You always go at him.
I still don't know.
To be honest with you, I don't really know what it means either. But yeah, no, I'm gonna say no. It's not easier for us.
All right, Prime. What about you? What do you think?
So I actually disagree with Fins. I think so. The mediocre guys, I think, typically are mediocre because they don't adjust to the game. And just using an example here, I think Graham's last year was mediocre. He had never finished below 500 for his season, and he finished below 500 for the cycle. And mainly last cycle, I'm talking because he didn't adjust to Madden 21. He kept throwing the ball. He didn't feed Zeke. He did all these things that were anti Madden 21. Didn't change his style up at all, and that's probably why he was average. This year, he's doing this. He's throwing the ball. And it's that kind of fits into the way this Madden plays. And now he's 3-1. He beat Dan, and Dan's still a good player. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dan's still Dan. He put 56 on Old Man Woods. So yeah, I mean, I think that certain guys, the guys who are lesser or who have been mediocre, might have a chance to win early because they don't completely adjust to last year's game. So maybe they have a room of flexibility maybe in between the start of cycles. And obviously Grams has been a good player historically. I'm not saying he's a mediocre player. Last Madden just wasn't a fit for him. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay. And DW, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm considered top of the mediocre, I guess. I was voted that way. To me, I've switched up my game. I have not been running as much as I was last year. Now I'm still up there, but I've been trying to pass more and trying to go more with how this game is. It seems like it's designed as a passing game this year. So that's why I try. I mean, that's how I attribute my success so far, being 3-0. But also on the Jets, I've got a 4th place schedule. And not talking bad about any of my opponents or anything, but I still have not played any of the top tier guys. I think I don't even think I play one until maybe like week 10 or week 11, whenever I have to play. And not putting anybody down on my schedule, but just how we're ranking this.
Don't be afraid to put people down.
No, I hate causing trouble. But no, I even talked to you, Bomber, when we were talking. No, I didn't mean. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how like your schedule, your opponents are garbage, but that was your
mine. No, I said that I would probably start off really well. I even told you that when we were trading because I was trying to sell you to take Noel's pick when we were first talking about trading Hunt. And I was like, you know what? I mean, Noel's got a harder schedule than I do. You know, I might have more wins than him. And of course, me and Noel are playing really well right now too. Wow. So, but anyways, that's all I got to say on this. I don't want to bury myself.
Yeah, I guess I showed you and just took them both.
I would like to put forth a motion to title this episode "Death Wish completely trashes SML." Or
whoever. Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to leak DMs, but he was talking pretty.
Oh, come on!
I mean, he's played Woods so far. Sherm, he's played Fins. I think I mean, this guy is.
They're all great players. They are all great players.
I mean, he was saying to take Noel's pick because there's no way he would lose to those guys.
Oh my God.
But so that'll take us to topic 4 if Death Wish is done trashing everybody.
Jesus.
Topic 4. So we're a few weeks into the first season, and we've seen quite a few trades. And what trades do you think, or would you like to see that you think could help somebody, or the two teams should make? And Fins, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the trade that probably should have happened was the Von Miller deal for me. I kind of know how I'm going to do, so I was able to get rid of him. So I'm going to talk to my fellow winless teams. Sherm, get rid of your old talent. Start building for later in the cycle. Like you got Devin McCourty, who is 34 at a safety position where you have a few guys looking for safety. I don't know if NYT's out of trades, but NYT's been looking for a safety for a long time. Send him his way if you can. ZZ is also winless. ZZ doesn't have a lot of old talent, but you got a lot of quarterback-hungry teams who you have Deshaun Watson, who you could get a king's ransom for at this point. You got guys like Woods, who is begging for a quarterback, who's in contention for the division, and you could turn that player into multiple picks or even a pick in some young talent, and that can fill some gaps for you in terms of talent moving forward. So start looking to future seasons. I have 2 firsts, 3 seconds. I have myself, I think, pretty set up as long as I draft right, which I usually do, to continue to take a pretty young team that I already have already and continue to build with that young talent. So, get out in front of that and don't wait.
Yeah, because your team is definitely shaping up to be a solid 4th place for the rest of the cycle. Prime, what about you?
But they're going to be fun. They're going to be fun.
What would you give advice to two teams or a trade you'd like to see happen?
Yeah, I would. I was thinking about just to hit on Finn's. I'd agree. The trade I would say first was the Broncos trade. I like the trade for Finn's, not so much for RD, just because I think RD's made the comments, and as have other people, that Raiders team might not be a win now team. At least for season 1 or 2, especially if he's tossing around Mariota and Carr. I feel like trading your first round pick might have been a risky move there. But for trades to happen, I think you got to look at guys like Matt with the Steelers. He's hinted at trading Big Ben. He had that linebacker Ingram on the block, but he wants to keep Ingram for depth, even though he's on the last year of his deal. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you've got like a 65 overall quarterback playing. Trade him, get that mid-round pick. Mike SML, that Colts team is hurting. You don't have a first-round pick. You've got Jacob Eason. If you're going to have fun and play with Carson Wentz, send Eason to Woods. Maybe get a 4th or 5th out of him if you're never going to play him. He's never going to be more valuable. Or you could even trade T.Y. Hilton to a contender. T.Y.'s in the last year of his deal. Send him to somebody who can have a shot with him. Trades like that, build up your draft picks and try to build those kind of talent-depleted teams.
Yeah, the RD one kind of surprised me because he had asked about Teller when I was originally thinking of trading Teller, and he said he couldn't trade his first because it was to get a quarterback, and then it goes for a 32-year-old linebacker. That seemed a little weird, but we'll see if he's a linebacker away from competing. DW, what do you think?
Well, Prime stole my main focus here, but Matt has to get a quarterback. Dude, I watched that game this morning, and Haskins is just terrible. Terrible, terrible. I mean, if Matt wants to compete and he wants to get, he's a great player, but I just feel like Haskins is killing him. I mean, he's taken away his passing game, which we all know that Matt struggled with the passing game a little bit last year. He's a great rusher, but now I really think you have to have a good quarterback in order to compete here, and I don't think it's going to work with Haskins.
Okay. And QP, what do you think?
Yeah, mine's going to be Dan again. We were in the DMs talking, and I was telling him, give me Justin Herbert, and I'll give you 2 first-round picks and then some. So we talked about it. He said, no. He's 0-3 now. Imagine if he had 3 first-round picks to build with. Build Easton Stick up. Wait, is it Easton Stick? Yeah, Easton Stick, yep. I think his name is. I don't even know his name. But he's an 85 speed or something. Mobile quarterback. That's what's in right now. 3 first-round picks, and he's already losing. Maybe call it a season already, and hand Herbert to me for 2 first-round picks and then some. We could talk again. So I would say that's one of the trades that need to happen. And then maybe somebody that's getting into contention, like DW said, like a Matt or a Meats. I don't know what they would need to do. I would need to see how Meats plays, but maybe something on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe try to get a linebacker that he likes or some pass rush, because the game I saw against Faz, he couldn't stop him. So one of those guys. But Dan mainly.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to see the Lions trade Okudah for Greedy Williams, but that never materialized. But so that's going to do it for this week's show. We've got Finns with 47, Prime with 57, QP with 53, and DW with 31. I've actually got to take away 5 points from DW because what we edited out that you guys couldn't hear was him trash talking everybody else that he did on his other questions. So DW now is 26. Prime's the winner with 57. So Prime, these 30 seconds are all yours.
Yeah, guys, I just want to apologize to whoever Death Wish offended. I mean, this guy, this is not, his opinions do not reflect what the SML believes. I'm sorry that we had this atrocious monstrosity on the show today.
Well, don't worry. I had to edit most of it out because it was that bad. But, so we don't want anybody quitting over this.
Yes,
especially not our first episode of First and Goal for Madden 22. Thanks for being on, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And, we'll be on again next week.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.